What if your shadow had a soul? What if one morning it refused to follow you? Not because of rebellion, but because it could no longer bear the weight of your secrets. What if the truth you buried started walking beside you for the whole world to see? This is not a tale for the faint-hearted. This is a story for those who sense there is more. More to life, more to you, more to what lies hidden behind the smiles we wear. There once was a village called Ngoma Dii, nestled between 7 hills and a river that whispered the songs of the ancestors. The people there were known for their beauty, wisdom, and devotion to the divine. They built temples with carvings of suns and moons, honored seasons with dances under the stars, and fasted when the land grew silent. But more than anything, the people of Ngoma Dii were known for one strange phenomenon, their shadows. You see, in Ngoma Dii, a shadow wasn't just a shadow. It was your spirit's twin. It followed you, unless it had a reason not to. From birth, children were taught that your shadow was your first companion, gifted by the breath of God when you entered the world. As the priest would say in their multilingual tongues, in Igbo, Onyenwere Ezioku, he who has a shadow carries truth. In Arabic, Ziluka Shahidok, your shadow is your witness. In Hindi, Chaya kabhi jhoot nahi bolti. The shadow never lies. Shadows were believed to record all things hidden. And so the people learned to live carefully, or at least they pretended to. As generations passed, Ngoma Dii changed. The rituals remained, but the hearts grew cold. Men who stood in the temple by day were drunk and cruel by night. Women who danced in white garments held jealousy in their chests. Children learned to lie without blinking. The village became a theater, and the shadows grew restless. They knew everything: the betrayal behind the offering, the theft covered by charity, the prayer spoken with poisoned hearts. They followed because it was their duty, until it wasn't. It happened without warning. The sun rose over the hills like always, casting long silhouettes across the red soil paths. But something was wrong. A merchant named Django stepped outside and gasped. His shadow didn't move. It stared at him with folded arms. The temple priest, Maz, lifted his hands in the morning prayer, and his shadow turned his back. Children's shadows ran ahead of them, revealing where they'd been hiding. A woman's shadow stood beside 2 men. One was her husband. The other was her secret. The village erupted, not in screams, but in silence, because everyone had something to lose. Some shadows began to talk, not with mouths, but through visions, in dreams, in mirrors, in water. Elder Muntukade, the oldest man in the village, whose eyes had turned cloudy with age, stood in the center of the village square and said, "The shadows are not punishing us. They are freeing themselves. They were never ours to command. They belong to the truth." He lifted his staff and declared a spiritual fast. No food, no song, no performance, until we are naked before the truth. The days that followed were unlike any the village had seen. A woman returned a child she had stolen from a barren sister. A judge confessed. He sentenced an innocent man to death out of spite. Two brothers wept over land they divided with lies, and the river that ran beside the village turned clear again. The elders said it hadn't been that clear in 70 years, but not all could bear it. Some tied themselves indoors, trying to lock away their shadows. Some fled to the forest. One man tried to stab his shadow, only to find he stabbed his own heart. It was the children, untouched by the full weight of deception, who first brought peace. A small girl, Cana, sat on the temple steps and said softly, "My shadow told me I need to say sorry to my sister. I told Mama she broke the bowl, but it was me." The villagers stared. Her little shadow, which had been standing a few feet away, walked quietly back to her side, and the earth trembled, not in anger, but release. Soon, other children followed, confessing stolen fruits, broken toys, secret fears, and each time their shadows returned, soft, forgiving. Not all shadows returned easily. Some were held hostage by spirits, jealousy, pride, lust, greed. Elder Muntu and a few spiritual warriors led prayers deep into the night, chanting in tongues both ancient and divine, from Yoruba chants to Gregorian murmurs, from the drumbeats of Zulu praise to Hebrew psalms. Every tongue echoed one word, light, and slowly light came. Not the kind that blinds, but the kind that reveals, the kind that heals. Weeks passed, then months. Ngoma Dii was no longer the village of mirrors. It became the village of alignment. People now walked in awareness of their shadow. They spoke slower, forgave quicker, prayed deeper. Children were taught, don't silence your shadow, befriend it. A monument was built, a tall, smooth obsidian stone that reflected everyone who stood before it. Inscribed on it were the words, "When your shadow walks beside you, peace follows behind." Dear listener, your shadow is not against you. It is the part of you that refuses to let you lie to yourself forever. It is your memory, your moral compass, your mirror. Have you been running from your shadow? Have you silenced the inner voice trying to guide you? Is it time to stop performing and start aligning? In every culture, every soul, truth longs to walk free. And freedom begins when we dare to look, not just around us, but within. If this story whispered something to your spirit, don't brush it off. Sit with it. Reflect. Comment below. I choose alignment. Share this story with someone who's been walking with a silent scream inside. And if you want more stories like this, mystical, emotional, soul awakening, subscribe and join us beneath the kola nut tree. Because here, we don't just tell stories, we tell the truth beneath the tale.